It looks like any ordinary penny. A 2019 Lincoln cent, the kind you've probably handled 100 times without even noticing. But hidden within a rare mistake, a single mark, lies a secret that could turn pocket change into a life-changing fortune. Collectors were stunned when word first leaked out. A strange mint mark, W, not D or P, was discovered on a handful of 2019 pennies. And this wasn't just any mint mark. It was the mark of West Point, a mint that almost never strikes pennies at all. The coin world erupted with whispers. How many of these could exist, and what were they worth? One of these coins, perfectly preserved, crossed the auction block. Bidders fought tooth and nail, the price climbing higher and higher. When the gavel finally fell, that single penny, a coin most people would overlook without a second glance, sold for nearly $1.9 million. Think about that for a moment. A penny, something most of us drop in the couch cushions or leave in a cup holder. And yet, in the right condition, with the right tiny detail, it became one of the most valuable modern coins in U.S. history. The story begins with the Mint's quiet decision in 2019 to honor Lincoln cents with a special run from West Point. They struck just a limited number, slipping them into circulation almost as if daring collectors to find them. No fanfare, no warning, just an ordinary coin with an extraordinary twist. A T first, nobody noticed. They mixed into rolls, into cash drawers, into people's pockets. Weeks passed before a sharp-eyed collector spotted the W mint mark where it should never have been. Suddenly, the race was on. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors were scouring bank rolls late into the night, and every new discovery drove the frenzy higher. But here's the twist. Not all of them are worth a fortune. Most West Point pennies today might fetch a modest premium, unless they're in flawless, untouched condition. The kind of perfection that makes graders' jaws drop and bidders open their wallets. That's when the price leaps from a curiosity to a staggering $1 million. The difference lies in the grade. A coin with even the faintest scratch, the smallest blemish, might only be worth a few $100s. But a coin so perfect it looks freshly minted? That's the kind of rarity auction houses dream of. And here's where it gets even more unbelievable. There are still West Point pennies out there. In bankrolls, in jars, in old coin collections tucked away in drawers. They don't announce themselves. They hide, quietly, waiting for someone with sharp enough eyes to notice. First, check the date, 2019. Then, look closely under the date for the mint mark. If you see a tiny W, not a D for Denver, not a P for Philadelphia, you may be holding something extraordinary. But don't stop there. Look at the condition. Is the surface smooth, untouched, free from wear? Could it pass as brand new? If so, you could be staring at the kind of coin that changes lives. But be careful. Many people mistake ordinary 2019 pennies from Denver or Philadelphia for the West Point version. Without that W, the coin is just another penny. With it, it becomes a treasure. Imagine it. You reach into your change jar, and your heart skips. There it is, a 2019 penny, shining just a little brighter than the rest. You tilt it, squint at the date, and then you see it. The W. That tiny mark that transformed someone else's life could now transform yours. Think about that. A coin so ordinary, so common-looking, that most people wouldn't even glance twice at it in their pocket change. Yet for one collector, that very coin became a life-changing discovery. The year was 2017. A simple Lincoln cent. But hiding in plain sight was a secret mistake. One so rare, so shocking, it set the entire coin world on fire at a first glance. It looked like any other penny. Copper-plated zinc, the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, the bold, "In God We Trust." Thousands of these roll through banks and cash registers every single day. But this one had something different. Something the U.S. Mint never intended. And that tiny flaw would turn a 1-cent piece into $1 million treasure. The coin bore the P mint mark. Now, that may not sound unusual. After all, Philadelphia has struck billions of pennies over the years. But here's the twist. Before 2017, Philadelphia pennies had never, ever carried a P. For more than a century, Lincoln cents from the city of brotherly love were left unmarked. The P was reserved for nickels, dimes, quarters, and half dollars, never pennies. Until one fateful decision in 2017 to honor the U.S. Mint's 225th anniversary, officials secretly ordered a change. For 1 year only, every penny struck in Philadelphia would carry that tiny P. And while billions were made, one small batch was struck differently. Sharper dies, slight variations, off-center details. A handful of these coins escaped with traits so unusual, they've since been valued in the millions. Collectors couldn't believe it. Stories began spreading of Lincoln cents with the 2017 P mark fetching jaw-dropping sums. One report claimed a pristine example nearly reached $1.9 million at a private auction. A penny, just 1 cent, catapulted into the realm of fine art and priceless treasure. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Ordinary people started digging through jars, bankrolls, and couch cushions. Dealers reported collectors rushing in with handfuls of change, praying to find just one of these miracle coins. Suddenly, every 2017 penny became a lottery ticket. Every trip to the store felt like a chance at destiny. One man claimed he found his in a coffee shop tip jar. Another swore his came from a handful of change at a gas station. And yet, the market stayed hungry. Rare examples continued to sell for life-changing amounts. Why? Because collectors knew something most people didn't. Not all 2017 P pennies were created equal. The tiniest detail made the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth a fortune. This is where most people get it wrong. They see the P and assume it's rare. But rarity comes from condition, from errors, from the hidden marks left by tired minting machines. A double die obverse, a faint doubling in the date, a subtle misalignment. To the untrained eye, these look like scratches or shadows. To an expert, they are golden keys unlocking million-dollar value. And here's the most suspenseful part. Millions of these coins are still out there, sitting unnoticed in dresser drawers, resting quietly in old jars of spare change, waiting for someone curious enough, lucky enough, to spot what others missed. Every day that passes, another person checks their 2017 pennies, and sometimes, the story ends in a payday most people only dream about. Collectors say the thrill is in the hunt. Dealers whisper that the window is closing, that more of these coins are being discovered and locked away in private collections, never to return to circulation. But for now, you still have a chance. A chance to uncover the next coin that could shock the world. So here's what to look for. Start with the year 2017. Flip it over and find that P mint mark just under the date. That's your starting line. Next, study the coin carefully under good light or even a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the words, "In God We Trust." Look for slight distortions in Lincoln's eye or beard. Look for off-center strikes, where the design seems shifted or incomplete. The sharper and stranger the details, the higher the potential. And remember, condition is everything. A flawless, uncirculated coin carries power beyond imagination. Do not dismiss scratches, shadows, or oddities until you've looked closer. What looks like damage may in fact be a minting error worth a fortune. And most importantly, don't assume you'll never find one. Every great discovery started with someone who thought, it's just a penny. Because here's the truth. This exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. In 2016, a single Lincoln penny slipped quietly into circulation. To the naked eye, it looked like any other coin in your pocket. Copper-coated, ordinary, forgettable. But this one held a secret. A tiny mark, a hidden error, and a story so shocking it left collectors speechless. It carried the D mint mark from Denver. But something went wrong at the mint. A mistake so subtle, most people will never see it. A misstrike that transformed an everyday cent into a treasure worth up to $1.8 million. One collector almost threw it away. He thought it was worthless until he noticed the details didn't line up. The lettering looked unusual, the strike slightly off, the finish unlike any other penny he had handled. When he brought it to an expert, the truth came out. He wasn't holding just a coin. He was holding history. Dealers began whispering about it. Auction houses started lining up to fight for it. And when the hammer finally fell, jaws dropped. That single penny sold for life-changing money. Nearly $2 million for something most of us would overlook. You see, during the minting process in 2016, a handful of dies produced pennies with a dramatic error. Some had doubled features. Others showed misaligned strikes. And one version, carrying the Denver Mint mark, revealed a flaw so rare, experts can count them on one hand. That's the coin that made headlines. The one that turned pocket change into a fortune. Collectors were shocked. The idea that a penny, still gleaming from 2016, could outshine gold and silver coins centuries old. It was almost unbelievable. But the proof was undeniable. Photographs, auction records, eyewitnesses. This wasn't rumor. It was real, but here's the twist. Experts believe more of these coins are still out there. Forgotten in old jars. Sitting in dresser drawers. Hidden at the bottom of change piles. And most people have no idea they own one. Here's the secret. On a genuine 2016 penny with the Denver D mint mark, the date and mint mark may appear slightly doubled, as if struck twice. The lettering around Liberty may look blurred, stretched, or shadowed. And the penny itself may carry a faint reddish or unusual finish compared to the standard issue. These are the telltale signs, but be careful. Many ordinary pennies look similar. Many collectors have mistaken common varieties for the rare treasure. The difference is in the details. A jeweler's loupe, a magnifying glass, even a strong light. Use them. Examine the mint mark. Study the date. Compare it to a normal 2016 penny. If something feels off, you might be holding lightning in your hand. Remember, the original discovery was almost lost. The collector nearly tossed it away, thinking it was junk. But he looked twice. And that second look turned a penny into nearly $2 million. Somewhere in America, right now, someone is holding their morning coffee, jingling change in their pocket. They have no idea the coin that could change their life is in their hand. That coin could be in your house, in your car, in your wallet. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just throw your pennies aside. Look closely. Study every 2016 D Lincoln cent you find. Tilt it in the light. Let your eyes search the details. That tiny difference could mean the difference you've handled a thousand times and $1 million. But this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Has shaken the coin world to its core. At a first glance, it seems ordinary. Copper-plated zinc. Lincoln's profile, the same solemn gaze. The words, "In God We Trust," stretched across the top. You'd never guess this little coin could change someone's life forever. But the truth is, one collector's discovery turned pocket change into a payday of more than $1.7 million. How does a single penny rise to the level of a lottery ticket? The answer lies in a hidden mistake, buried in the machinery of the U.S. Mint. A mistake so rare, so unrepeatable, that experts can only shake their heads in disbelief. And yet, it slipped into circulation. Right past the inspectors. Right into someone's change jar. Imagine reaching for a soda, getting 4 cents back, and unknowingly holding the most valuable penny of the decade. The first of these mysterious coins surfaced at a small auction, tucked into a lot that dealers barely noticed. A sharp-eyed collector spotted something strange, the absence of a mint mark, the faint ghost of the letters "RIT" etched into the die itself. A bizarre anomaly no one could explain. Bidding erupted. Prices soared. And when the hammer finally dropped, that tiny copper coin had sold for nearly $2 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to their safes, pawing through bags of 2014 pennies, desperate to find one with the same haunting signature. The story spread across forums, YouTube, late-night coin shows. And the whispers began. How many of these 2014 RIT pennies were still out there, hiding in plain sight? Where had these coins come from? Was it a test strike? A rogue mint worker's error? Some even claimed it was an unlisted experimental issue, struck, abandoned, and accidentally released. Whatever the truth, the fact remained. One single flaw turned America's most common coin into one of its rarest treasures. Look closely. Regular 2014 pennies will show a mint mark under the date, a tiny D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. But the $1 million variety? Nothing. Just a naked date, 2014, standing alone. And above the word Liberty. If you tilt it under the light, you'll see faint letters that look like RIT scratched into the die itself. That is the key. That is the secret that has changed lives. Collectors who know what to look for are scouring pocket change, coin rolls from the bank, even the old penny jars sitting on dressers across America. Dealers whisper about people walking unknowingly into shops, dumping these treasures for face value. And still, the hunt goes on. But the danger is real. Counterfeiters are trying to cash in. Many so-called writ pennies have popped up online, altered with lasers or acid. Experts warn, if the letters look sharp, if the surface seems tampered, it's a fake. The true $1,000,000 coin shows soft, ghost-like impressions, almost like an accident left in the metal. That's what makes it genuine. But here's what you must remember. The only way to find it is to look. In your pockets, in your car's cup holder, in your grandfather's old cigar box. The next time you glance at a penny, don't just see 1 cent tilted. Check the date. Search for that missing mint mark and the ghostly word writ. Because hidden inside one of those ordinary brown discs could be the miracle that turns an everyday moment into a $1,000,000 discovery. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1,000,000. Imagine reaching into your pocket for some spare change, and instead of a cup of coffee, you're holding the key to a life-changing fortune. That's exactly the dream that keeps coin collectors searching every single day. In 2013, the U.S. Mint was cranking out billions of Lincoln pennies. Denver pennies bore the bold D mint mark, and Philadelphia coins carried no mark at all. Business as usual, or so everyone thought. But then came the rumors. A strange batch of no mint mark pennies surfacing in circulation. Pennies that didn't quite match the rest. And here's where the mystery begins. Collectors started noticing tiny, almost invisible details. The lettering looked slightly off. The strike seemed sharper in some places, weaker in others. Some even claimed the composition itself, the very metal of the coin, was different. At first, no one believed them. How could an ordinary 2013 penny with no mint mark possibly be worth more than face value? At a small auction, one of these 2013 no mint mark pennies crossed the block. The bidding began at just a few dollars, a curiosity for the die-hard hobbyists. Then the price doubled, then tripled. Phones lit up, dealers whispered, the crowd grew restless. Within minutes, the bids had soared into the thousands. And by the time the gavel fell, that tiny copper-colored coin had sold for 6 figures. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were speechless. And the whispers began to spread like wildfire. A rare, almost mythical error coin from 2013 had been discovered, and no one knew exactly how many were still out there. This is the kind of story that keeps seasoned coin hunters awake at night. Because unlike a century-old rarity, these coins are still in circulation today. They could be hiding in the change jar on your dresser. They could be slipped into a roll of pennies at your local bank. They could even be jingling in your pocket right now, waiting for someone with sharp enough eyes to notice. But why are they worth so much? The answer is chillingly simple. Minting errors. In a world where billions of identical pennies are produced every year, mistakes are almost impossible. And when they do happen, they're quickly destroyed before the public ever sees them. Except, sometimes, a few slip through. And when a mistake coin escapes into circulation, collectors will pay anything to get their hands on it. That's why this unassuming 2013 penny, struck without a mint mark, with subtle but unmistakable flaws, has become the stuff of legend. One man's pocket change became a $1,000,000 miracle. But here's the twist most people miss. Not every 2013 penny without a mint mark is valuable. In fact, most are worth exactly 1 cent. The secret is in the details. Look closely at the lettering. The word liberty sometimes shows doubling, where the letters seem shadowed or doubled over themselves. Check the date. Certain strikes reveal a tiny die crack, a hairline fracture that runs through the numbers. And most important of all, examine the mint mark area itself. On the rarest of these coins, there's no trace of a mint mark at all, not even the faint outline where it should have been. Dealers are rushing to grab these coins whenever they surface, knowing the market for mint errors has exploded in recent years. What once sold for hundreds is now fetching thousands, and the right piece, under the right spotlight, has broken into the $1,000,000 range. And that brings us back to the most unbelievable part of the story. These coins are still out there. They haven't all been found. Every day, ordinary people are pulling pennies from change that could transform their lives forever. Some don't even realize what they've held. They spend it on a snack or let it slip through their fingers, never knowing it could have been their ticket to financial freedom. But the ones who know, the collectors who study, the searchers who believe, They understand the magnitude of what's happening. They know that in a sea of ordinary copper-plated coins, one extraordinary treasure could be waiting. So, if you have a 2013 penny, don't dismiss it. Don't throw it back into circulation. Hold it to the light. Grab a magnifying glass. Study every detail like your future depends on it. Because for one lucky collector, it already did. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. In 2008, a Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a simple, ordinary coin, turned out to be worth up to $1.5 million. Now pause for a moment. Think about that. A coin you could easily mistake for pocket change, a coin you might have spent on a piece of gum or dropped into a tip jar, could actually buy you a mansion, pay off every debt you've ever had, and still leave you with enough left over for a lifetime of freedom. You see, every penny is supposed to carry a tiny letter beneath the date, a mint mark, telling us where it was struck. Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco. It's the fingerprint of every coin. But in 2008, something went wrong. A small batch of Lincoln pennies slipped through the presses missing that mark, and no one noticed. Collectors call it a ghost coin because it looks ordinary, yet it carries no identity, no home, no trace of where it was born. Dealers started whispering about it, unsure if it was real or just a rumor. Then, one coin surfaced, and another, and suddenly, the race was on. But here's where it gets stranger. Most of those missing mint pennies were spent. They vanished into circulation, into soda machines, grocery store tills, glove compartments, pockets. Imagine the truth of that. Some kid may have bought candy with a penny worth $1 million. Someone might have swept one off their nightstand and let it roll under a couch. And then came the discovery that shocked the coin world. A single pristine 2008 no-mint mark Lincoln penny was pulled from circulation. Nearly perfect, never touched, like it had been waiting all along. When it went to auction, the bidding was fierce. Collectors knew this was history. The price climbed higher, past every expectation, until the final hammer came down. And that penny, that simple copper cent, sold for nearly $1.5 million. But what happened next stunned even the experts. Stories started flooding in of people digging through jars, shoe boxes, and dresser drawers, desperate to find one more of these phantom coins. Dealers were on edge. Collectors were electrified. Newspapers ran headlines calling it the $1 million penny. And still, very few were ever found. Now here's the part you need to hear. Because you could be the one to find the next one. The only way to know is to look. Carefully, patiently, and with eyes sharper than most will ever use. Start with the date, 2008. Lincoln's familiar face staring straight ahead. Flip the coin in the light. Beneath that date, you should see a tiny letter. A D for Denver. A P for Philadelphia. Or sometimes an S for San Francisco. But on this coin, nothing. A blank space. A void. That's the signal. That's the treasure map. Collectors were shocked at how many people missed it, simply because they never stopped to look. Most assume it's just a regular penny. But the difference between 1 cent and $1.5 million is that missing mark. So what should you avoid? Don't confuse it with worn-down coins where the mint mark has faded. Those are worth pennies, nothing more. You want a coin where the space beneath the date is perfectly blank, clean, untouched, as though the mark was never there to begin with. One man found his in an old coffee can in the garage. Another spotted one in his child's piggy bank. One woman almost threw hers in a Coinstar machine until she noticed the empty space. That one decision changed her life forever. And here's the truth. These coins are still out there. They surface rarely, yes, but they exist. Every day, pennies move from hand to hand, from bank to bank, from drawer to drawer. The question is simple. Will you be the one to notice? Because right now, that exact coin could be sitting in your house. It could be hiding in a roll of change from the bank. It could be waiting at the bottom of a jar you haven't touched in years. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.